After quite some time, Black Mirror Season 6 is finally here. But how does it live up to its previous seasons? Today we'll be ranking all 5 episodes of this newest season, and just a heads up that this will be a spoiler-free ranking. I will only be giving minor summaries of each episode and why I ranked it where I did. If you aren't familiar with Black Mirror, it's an anthology series that focuses mainly on topics of technology, dystopian ideas, and horror elements. It's one of the best anthology series that I've seen, and I've been a big fan since the first season back in 2011. Before I get started, please consider hitting that subscribe button and follow us on our other platforms to stay up to date with the latest content just like this. Thank you very much for all the support. So starting off is the weakest episode of the season in my opinion, and one that stood out was the 4th episode, Mazey Day. It follows the daring journey of a paparazzi in Los Angeles as she attempts to locate and take pictures of a famous actress who has gone missing under suspicious circumstances. The episode is a criticism on paparazzi culture and the invasion of privacy to a dangerous degree, which is a very interesting topic. However, it fails to leave a lasting impression and gets really predictable once you know what's going on near the end. The acting is overall pretty solid. Zazie Beetz does a solid job as the lead. It's unfortunate they weren't able to do more with the topic because it's definitely something worth exploring. At number 4 is the first episode, Joan is Awful. I think this is one of the most meta episodes that Black Mirror has ever done, and I do respect the ambition. The story follows Joan, an average woman who has her life adapted into a TV show without her knowledge. In the TV adaptation of her life, she's played by Salma Hayek, and they make sure to make a point of it every time she's on screen. What's very trippy about the episode is that the streamer that her TV show is being adapted to is clearly Netflix, but with a different name. I was especially impressed with Annie Murphy's performance, especially in a more dramatic role since we've seen her in comedic pieces before, and she did an excellent job. Salma Hayek was a little weak in my opinion. She's not a bad actress when put in the right role, but they gave her some pretty cheesy lines to say, and it just came across as really cringy. The episode is not bad, and I overall enjoyed some parts, up until the end, which seemed a bit disjointed and very cliche. I think number 4 is a good spot to put it. At number 3 is the second episode, Loch Henry. This episode centers around a Scottish town as a young couple decides to create a documentary surrounding an old murder case involving the locals. This one is one of the slower episodes, at least at first. The acting is quite good from the whole cast, as they sell the mystery behind the events. With this in mind, the one thing I did find as a gripe was the predictability of it all. It does play out sort of like a Lifetime movie in the latter half, and it becomes quite obvious about what's going on. It's easy to predict beat for beat what's going to happen because they fall back on regular cliches. But perhaps one of the most redeeming qualities came from the very end. I did really like the approach they took, and it does say a lot without them shoving it down your throat. Not great, but overall pretty decent. And number 2 is Demon 79, the final episode of the season. To be honest with you, I would almost go as far as to say that this was tied with Loch Henry. I was seriously debating on which one would go in the number 2 spot, but I did find this one to be more entertaining. The story takes place in England and follows a sales assistant who's tasked with the demonic assignment to prevent the world from ending. The premise is simple but very existential and creates a tense narrative. Strangely, this episode is more of a dark comedy as the demonic force has a sense of humor and comedic timing with the main lead, which is pretty rare in many Black Mirror episodes. I thought the cinematography was really good in this episode, and I liked the 1970s aesthetic they went with. This is one of the rare episodes that really doesn't follow the themes of the other Black Mirror episodes and goes more into the realm of fantasy and demons and stuff like that, but I felt that this one was better executed than some of the other ones in this season. And the end is pretty solid, and I did enjoy it. That's why I'm putting Demon 79 in the second spot. And finally, the best episode of Season 6, in my opinion, goes to Beyond the Sea. This episode features the most unique premise of all the others in this group, and is super well executed. It's hard to describe the plot without giving away spoilers or important information, but the basic idea follows 2 men on a space mission, but with a twist. They're able to log into replicas of themselves back on Earth during their downtime in space. The acting is great from the 2 leads, Aaron Paul and Josh Hartnett. Aside from Aaron Paul as a big name, Kate Mara is also featured in the episode and does a great job as well. Apart from being the best executed, it's also the darkest episode from the group, hands down, which is why it's so effective. One thing I wish they had done is to tackle the ending a bit differently. I do really like the ending, don't get me wrong, but there was a lot of different things they could have done to really mess with the audience at the end and have an even more lasting impact. But again, I did like the ending, and it is jarring among other things. This is definitely the best episode of the season in my opinion. Overall, Black Mirror Season 6 offered some good moments, very interesting ideas, and I was entertained, but sadly I have to admit it fails in comparison to the other seasons of the show. But let me know which episode was your favorite and what you thought of the season. Thank you very much for watching, and Placid5 signing off.